What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ravi Wadden, and in today's video, we're going to do a lease analysis on the GMC Hummer EV Pickup because in my opinion, it's one of the best lease deals in the country in terms of value. So what we'll do in this video is we'll head over to the GMC website and we'll study this Hummer lease deal in detail. We'll talk about how many miles are allowed, we'll talk about the monthly payment, the due at signing amount, and some taxes and things that you'd have to pay out of pocket that aren't really listed on the manufacturer's advertisement. Then in the second part of this video, what we'll do is we'll talk about why this is a good lease deal in terms of value, even though the monthly payment is $899 a month, using my 1.25% rule of leasing. And then in the third part of this video, we'll talk about why it makes sense to lease this particular truck compared to financing this particular truck, because you'll save hundreds of dollars a month in terms of your payment. So if that sounds good to you, let's go ahead and jump into this video and jump into the computer behind me. If you could like this video and follow or subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are on the GMC website. And as you can see here, you can lease the Hummer EV Pickup, which is here at the top of the screen, or you can scroll down and lease the Hummer EV SUV. Now the EV SUV leases for $899 a month for 36 months with $7,240 due at signing. And the Pickup leases for $849 a month with just $4,800 due at signing. And this is a much better lease deal in terms of value. So let's go ahead and talk about this lease deal. So it's $849 a month. It's a 36-month lease. And you only have to put down $4,800 due at signing. Now, as I mentioned, or as you can see here, tax, title, license, and dealer fees are extra on top of this $4,800 due at signing. So, you know, a truck like this that has an MSRP of, what is it, $98,845, I'm reading right here at the bottom of the screen. And, you know, I don't know what the rebates are on this truck, but I'm guessing they're, you know, $10,000, maybe more than $10,000. But if they're $10,000, you're looking at about $1,000 due at signing. You're probably looking at about another $1,000 that you'd have to pay in terms of licenses, you know, registration for your license plate, and then any other dealer fees. So you're probably looking at an additional $2,000 to $2,500 on top of this $4,800 that's due at signing. You'll also see here that this lease allows for 30,000 miles over the course of 36 months. And with this lease, just like any other lease, if you want 10 or 12,000 miles a year or 15,000 miles a year, it is cheaper to do so and get that mileage up front when you sign your lease paperwork rather than paying this excess mileage penalty of 25 cents a mile. And if we go ahead and read the fine print, and these GM and Chevy fine prints are so small, and they're here at the bottom of the page, you'll see that this truck does have an MSRP of $98,845. You'll also see that 36 monthly payments total $30,564. And then you do have the option to purchase at lease end for an amount that's determined at lease signing. And then you'll also see that you are responsible for excess repair, wear, and the disposition fee of $495 at the end of the lease. And you'll also see that this lease qualifies for the $7,500 EV tax credit. And the reason it qualifies for the $7,500 tax credit is because this is sort of a tax loophole when you lease particular vehicles. Just about every vehicle qualifies for the $7,500 credit. But if you were to finance this car or to buy this car, you wouldn't get the $7,500 EV tax credit. Now, what I want to do in this part of the video is actually run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this particular Hummer EV Pickup. Now, my 1.25% rule of leasing is just a rule of thumb that I use to determine whether or not a particular lease deal is a good lease deal in terms of value. And this is something that I recommend you guys all do on your own if you're shopping for a lease, whether it's a Hummer or not a Hummer. So all you're going to do is take the due at signing amount. In this case, it's $4,800. And we'll subtract the monthly payment of $849 since that's included in the due at signing amount. And when we do that, we get $3,951. Now what I'll do is I'll divide this by 36 since this is a 36-month lease, and that gives me $109. And then I'll add the monthly payment of $849 back in, and that gives me a monthly payment of $958, but this doesn't include sales tax on the payment. So I'll just multiply this by 1.1 to account for 10% sales tax, even though most places in the United States don't have a 10% sales tax. Let's just take a conservative approach and use a 10% sales tax rate. And that gives me a monthly payment with $0 down. Remember, this is $0 down. Tax, title, license will be extra, but $0 down of $1,054 a month. And if I go ahead and divide this number by this vehicle's MSRP, which is, let me double check, $98,845. So divide this by 98,845. That gives me 0.0107. I'll multiply this by 100 to turn it into a percentage, and that gives me 1.06 or 1.07%. Now with the 1.25% rule of leasing, anytime you get a number, so in this case we got 1.06, anytime you get a number under 1.5%, that's a good lease deal. Anytime you get a number under 1.25%, that's a great lease deal. And anytime you get a number under 1%, that's an amazing lease deal. And this lease deal sitting at 1.06% is, borderline great lease deal. It's actually really surprising because this Hummer came out with a lot of fanfare, and the fact that you can lease one right now for 1.06% is amazing. $849 a month, $4,800 due at signing on a truck with a nearly $100,000 MSRP. That's why I consider this a good lease deal in terms of value. Now, for those of you that are curious what the monthly payment would be on a truck like this, let's go ahead and run the number. So let's use a auto price or a selling price of $98,845. Let's use a 72-month term. Let's use a 2% interest rate, and let's put nothing down. We'll do Washington State. We'll use a sales tax rate of 10%, and then we won't roll any title registration and other fees into the payment here because we didn't do that in the lease payment that we just did. So when I do that, you get a monthly payment of $1,458, which is about $400. Let's just call it $400 more than if you leased this same car. If you lease this car with $0 down. So, you're looking at $400 a month, you're looking at $4,800 a year. And if you multiplied that by 3, you're saving $14,400 just by leasing this particular truck rather than financing this particular truck. And, a lot of you are going to say, well, the selling price, these Hummers aren't selling for MSRP. Well, let's go ahead and take, let's just make the selling price, let's say 85,845, right? Let's discount it 13%. I think that's pretty substantial. The monthly payment's still $1,266.25 a month, which, is about $200 more than if you lease this car with $0 down. Now, some of you watching are going to say, hey, Ravi, but when you buy this car, you finance it, you can keep this car for as long as you'd like, and you could drive it for as long as you'd like. But you have to remember that when you lease this Hummer, you do have a buyout option at the end of the lease. And if it makes sense to buy the Hummer, you can do that, right? And when I say when it makes sense, it's whether you have positive equity in the lease or not. And if you want to learn about positive equity and how you can actually exercise your positive equity or realize your positive equity, I do have videos on that as well on my channel. And another factor is, this vehicle is fully electric. The battery is huge, but I think if you charge this truck at home, you'd probably pay, I'm guessing, $80 to $100 a month. And if this was a gas-powered vehicle, your gas bill would be outrageous. Some of these Hummers have 1,000 horsepower, so you'd probably save $100, $200 a month there at least. And not to mention no oil changes. Electric vehicles really don't have any maintenance. And the cool thing about leases is, the car's under warranty, so you kind of have a fixed cost every single month. You're not going to have any unexpected repair bills. But yeah, that's in a nutshell why I think this Hummer is a tremendous lease deal in terms of value. So if you're in the market for one, I would strongly suggest that you lease one instead of finance one. But if you have any questions about leasing in general or leasing this Hummer, please let me know in the comment section below, and I will get back to you. And with that, I'm going to call it a video. Financial knowledge is power. Please like and follow for more.